Hello, friends. My name is Rachel. I work at the Prince George's County Memorial Library System, and I'd like to welcome everyone to our Crafternoon today. This is going to be a special Crafternoon in that we're making something called Los Alebrijes, and that is a craft from Mexico that I will tell you more about in a little bit. We will learn about what Los Alebrijes are and how to make them yourself. And I'd also like to wish everyone a happy Hispanic Heritage Month that runs from September 15th to October 15th. So let me share a little bit about what these Los Alebrijes are. They are the Mexican art of fantastical creatures. And we are going to do this craft again to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. So you may have seen the movie COCO, which came out a few years ago. And in COCO, there were these creatures and mystical beings featured. You can see on the left, there is sort of an animal that looks like a cross between a bear and a tiger and perhaps a goat and a bird. On the right-hand side is a scene directly from the movie, all sorts of different types of animals. So overall, they are very colorful and brightly patterned statues or figurines of fantastical creatures and imaginary animals. They began in Mexico City, and the idea came from Pedro Linares, who was an artisan, and he specialized in making objects like piñatas and carnival masks from cartoniera, which is an ancient and widespread paper craft similar to paper mache. And you've maybe done paper mache before, where you take strips of newspaper and put them around wire or other structures to make a statue. And you can see in the upper right-hand corner is a photo of Mr. Linares making some of his famous figurines. So he had this idea when he got really ill and was sick with a fever and had some amazing dreams where clouds and rocks turned into different fantastical animals with wings, horns, tails, fierce teeth, bulging eyes. And in his dream, he heard the crowd of voices repeating, Alebrije, Alebrije. And when he got well again, he had this idea to make the animals that he saw in his dreams. And he started to get more recognized when the famous artists Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera discovered him, and he became more and more famous for his really neat statues. So here's a few examples. You can see the bright colors and the different types of patterns. There's some cross-hatching, stripes, dots, splashes of color, and really vibrant different patterns. Here are a few others. Some of them look a little more like animals that you may know about, but have exaggerated features, like very large ears or a very tall, long tail. We also have books at the library about these really neat creations, one of which is called Miguel and the Amazing Alebrijes. If you'd like to go onto our website, you can put a hold on it and come pick that book up at one of your library branches. So my colleague Paul and I were discussing these really neat artworks, and he came up with some pictures of how to draw the animals. And so here you see is a pencil sketch of, looks like a rabbit, but with very pronounced ears and very large paws and tail. And then he used a black marker to draw the outline and add some pattern, and then color it in. So that's one simple way that you can draw an alebrije. Mr. Paul also did a few other fantastical creatures. This one looks like it could be a hippopotamus mixed with a rhinoceros, mixed with an elephant. And you see the different colors and patterns. And this is a very brightly colored fish with an exaggerated nose. So I thought it's really cool to draw these fantastical critters, but why not try to make something a little more like a statue, like Mr. Linares maybe did back in the 1930s. So up here you can see some other examples that students have done with paper to make them stand up and appear three-dimensional. So if you'd like to try this craft with me, you'll need some paper or cardboard, crayons, markers, pencil, paints, whatever you have around to make some bright colors, tape or a glue stick, scissors, and really anything you can find around the house. One of the things that I found that we might be able to use today are toilet tissue rolls. We've got some pieces of brightly colored straw, some tongue depressors or craft sticks. So really you can add whatever you like to your animal. I wanted to show you one that I've made already so you can get the idea of what we're going to do today. This is my Alebrije, and it's sort of like a unicorn slash horse, and then I made a pair of wings that can go along the top here. So it'll give it a bit of a more Pegasus feel. So as you can see, there's really no right or wrong way to make this, but I'll show you how to make an animal that stands up on its own. Now, I haven't colored the back of this one yet, and I will do that with you in a moment. And I was waiting until I colored the back to put the wings on. That's why they're separate. So in order to make a cardboard animal that stands up, we have to make a template. Now this one was fairly simple to make, and you can actually use the idea for this to change parts of your animal to make certain parts bigger or smaller, different types of legs, claws, paws, all of that. So I'm going to put mine over here so you can still see it, and then show you some of the types of templates I made with scrap paper. Now, when you make a template, what you need to remember is that the back of the animal should be like the spine. So I just use an old envelope to make this template. And that's what makes the bend in the back here and allows you to have two sides. So I made a couple. You can experiment really. If you don't have time to make a template, that's okay too. We're gonna sort of wing it today and see what else we can come up with besides a horse or a unicorn slash Pegasus. So if you're using regular white paper, that's totally fine. You can use an 8.5 by 11 sheet. Or if you have cardstock, which is a little thicker, that's fine too. Or if you have cardboard from a cereal box or a food package, that could also be a good way to reuse the things that you have around your house. So the key is to fold your paper first. Now, if you're really daring, you can take your scissors and just start cutting a head and some legs. I like to sketch it out a little bit, so I'll use my pencil. And remember, this is the back, the spine of your animal. So imagine how it will look standing up like this. So let's see, I would like definitely a big, maybe like a badger tail, or like a beaver tail, like a very long, thick tail. So I'll have lots of space to decorate. And then I've got my legs. I think I want to make these legs sort of rounded to make them a bit different than my unicorn Pegasus. I might even want to put a claw at the end of this. The fun thing about this project is there is no right or wrong way of really doing it. So you can always trim it up, make it different, try it again. So you can see this is going to be kind of the tail area and the two legs. And then the trick that I learned for the head and neck is that you should make the neck a little bit longer than you think it should be, because that will allow you to bend it up, give you a little more space to bend it up. You fold it over. So I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Okay, so this neck is going to make it as long as we can, and then I'm going to have the head. Now, I think this animal is going to look extremely unusual. Can you even imagine what that will look like after I cut it out? In fact, I think I want the claws to come out both sides to have really interesting looking feet. Okay, let's see how this is going to look. Remember, it's okay to not get it right the first time. This one will almost have a sharp, pointy head, so it'll look almost like a beak. Can't wait to see how this comes out. Okay, this definitely has some interesting looking feet. Okay, almost done here. Okay, let's see how this animal turned out. Huh. That's pretty interesting looking, huh? And you see on the other side, it's pretty much the same. And it even stands up on its own. Look at that. So I said this is going to be, this side is going to be the head. But if you want your head on your animal to go a little bit more upward facing, there's a trick to doing that. First, you lay out your template flat, and the head part, you feel like the ridge where you folded right in the center. And then the head part, bend it all the way back where the legs meet the neck. And then you fold each side at a bit of an angle. So this is going to take a little bit of practice. So first I folded it back, and then I folded it at an angle. And I will do the same thing at the other side. So you sort of get this triangle crease. Like a triangle right here. And then when you try to make your animal stand up, you can actually sort of scrunch. You have to kind of scrunch this part back so the head will be facing up a little bit more. You don't have to do that. It does take a little bit of practice. It took me a little while to be able to figure that out. And now we have this creature that will stand up on its own. And I don't know, the tail looks like it's a little unbalanced. So maybe what I can do is make it a different shape. Even a little pointy. this is where you can start getting creative with the shape. Like if you're thinking, okay, well maybe the back needs a little bit more rounding off, that would be okay too. It'll still stand as long as you have some paper here by the fold. There we go. So that's how you make your stand-up template. And you can feel free to decorate however you like. Now I think I'd like to actually continue decorating my other side of this alebrije. So let's work on that together. I've already attached a straw for its horn, so I have to be careful not to hurt that when I'm decorating. There are a few different decorating techniques that I found to be helpful when I was racking my mind to think, how do I want my alebrije to look? And one of my techniques was color blocking, which is basically the most simple type. You just choose a color and fill in the area that you would like that color. I added a few stripes right on the tail. There's also swirls. So I used a lot of different colors to swirl around in a different kind of S-shaped pattern and build on top of them. So I started out with one color and would then bring in a few other colors. Another thing that I found was fun are these little dot dashes. So first I took a color and dotted around in a swirl and then went back and put dashes between them. You can also use different shapes like stars, squares, rectangles, diamonds, triangles. You can of course just do little dots. You can do zigzags like I did along the mane here and also the back. Stripes is a popular way of decorating these types of figurines. We also have something called cross hatching, where you draw stripes one way, draw stripes the other way. So that's one side. And now I need to work on my other side. This is where it gets really fun. You can make both of your sides the same, but I think it might be more interesting if you try different techniques on either side of your figure. So let's see, I'm going to do, this figure is going to have a kind of scary big red eye. And big eyebrow. And let's see what color the mouth can be. Green, kind of like maybe an open mouth. Should it have teeth? Yeah, I think it should have big green teeth. So I just did a simple face. Definitely looking a little scarier than my happy unicorn on this side, but that's okay. Let your creativity be the guide. Now, if you find that you're using a regular piece of paper and the animal does not want to stay upright, like it keeps falling like this, that's where you can use some of the glue stick and tape. So if you just run a little bit of glue near the inside fold, that will usually help it stay up. Or if you want to put a little piece of tape, depending on the shape of your animal, you may want to put it up around the neck to keep the sides closer together. You see how I did that? I just kind of put a piece of tape right there so the legs would stay closer together and it wouldn't keep flopping down. So that's one technique you can use. Before I continue decorating the other side of my Pegasus unicorn, I wanted to show you some kind of creative ways. I know you all out there can come up with really, really cool ideas. So I had some clothespins sitting around and a toilet tissue tube, and then some sticks. I just cut a little groove in the tissue tube and stuck this craft stick in. Now from here, I could easily cut out a piece of paper to make a head and then stick that on with my tape or my glue. So you can really adjust this craft project any way you see fit, or you have materials to do so. And then I could just color on the stick or the tube, or cover it with stickers if you had that. Maybe put pom-poms for paws, yarn for tail. You can do a lot of different things. So back to our decorating. I think I'm going to try swirl technique. It's one of my favorites. It's also kind of relaxing to do. So I kind of like the idea of like doing a swirly flame coming up the back. I'll show you what this looks like when I'm done. See those orange flame swirls? And sometimes I come back over and we'll add other details between the swirls and different colors. So get all your markers out. Use all your different colors. I think that's the best way to do it. And it's okay if you mess up. Usually you can incorporate your mess up into some other type of design. Now I think this Pegasus needs an interesting looking mane. So I'm going to use triangle shapes to really accentuate what the mane looks like. You can see that. And similar to the other side, I think I want to make hooves, make them different from the rest of the feet. So I think I'm going to do stripes. I want to do green stripes. And then the next color, let's see, what haven't I used yet? Maybe some yellow. Maybe put some yellow zigzags up by where the flames are coming in. And then one of my other favorite techniques, so you can get a little bit closer. One of my other favorite techniques is the dot dash. So I'll take the brown and start first with my dots, and that sort of tells me where I'm going to go. But this time I want it to be down the front. Dot, 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 and then just go it back through and add your dashes. Like that. Maybe I'll do one more dot dash with blue. But this time I'm going to put the dots where the dashes were before, and the dashes where the dots go before. Remember, there's no rules for this project. I think this beast needs some swirls. So you can just start making S shapes. S shapes works pretty well usually, and you just sort of interconnect them. You can keep going with this for a very long time. It makes that cool pattern. And then we can put some green dots inside of the S shapes, just to give it a little bit more excitement. I think next I would like to try some cross hatching. Cross hatching is when you take a series of parallel lines and then do the same thing going in the other direction. So I think I'm going to start my cross hatch on a leg here. And some of the artists who make Alebrijes, they get very detailed with their cross hatching. but you can make it as detailed or general as you like. This is a pretty big crosshatch. And then I can do a line across the top. So you see how that crosshatch turned out? And then if you're feeling like you really want to go for it, you can fill in shapes, dots, or colors inside of your crosshatch. I think we need more orange down here. Okay, looks like this is coming together pretty nicely. So there's kind of my crosshatch design. So you see all these different colors and patterns coming together. I think this beast's head needs a little bit more design on it. So let's go with blue. And I think I would like to do sort of a swirly pattern all the way around. So it looks like there's a lot of blue fur on the head of this creature. That will add a lot of texture to this creature's head. It looks like a very, very furry head. All right, cool. So we're kind of getting there. And I may not be able to do the whole thing right during this project. But I'm hoping that you at home, when you finish your project, put it in your room or somewhere where your family can see it, and then you can explain to them what you learned about Alebrijes today. So I'm just doing a few green and orange stripes. And I think I want to do a little bit more dot and dash down this part to fill it in. If you'd like to be more like the original artisans who created these figures, you could try doing a paper mache or using a wooden figurine. That's the original way that it was really done, more wood or paper mache, and then get some paint and layer on different paint patterns, which would look really, really nice. I'm gonna do one more dot dash, and I think we'll be ready for the tail and then to attach the wings, which is, I think, the most fun part. So because this creature is so fantastical, I think they need a purple tail. I don't know many animals that have purple tails. Okay. There you go. That's one side of my fantastical Alebrije. And now that is the other side. This reminds me a little more of like a Van Gogh painting, like a constellation and some swirls. And this one is a little bit more, a little scarier. But we still have wings or whatever you decide to put on there. You could put your, you could put some other type of feet on the bottom of here if you have something lying around. Just quickly, I'll show you how to make the wings. You could use some of the scrap paper that you didn't get around to using. I have some scraps here. I'll use a bigger piece so you can see it. So I use this as a template. I was trying to make an animal that would stand up sideways like this. So you can be as creative as you like, because an animal doesn't always have to have its spine going this way. It could be sitting up and have its spine sort of going at an angle. And that would just require you to fold the paper at an angle like that, and then drawing your animal like this rather than like what we did earlier. Okay, so I'm just going to use this, repurpose this to make some wings. You could make flippers, fins, really anything you want. Now with my wings, I cut fringe. You don't have to do that if you don't want, but then what you do is you fold the wings like this, and then you can attach them. So my wings are folded, and you can make a little piece right here, almost like a paper airplane, and then you can attach it to the back of your animal with tape or glue stick. So I'll use tape because that will go a little faster. Show this side as well. And you decide, do you want your wings to go this way, or do you want them to go this way? I think I want them to go with the longer parts of the wings facing towards the back. And I just put the tape right along there. You can do it both sides too to make your wings more stable. And remember to decorate the wings or any other body parts you decide to put on your fantastical creature. So you can see how the wings turned out. And that's the view from above. And then you can see like the wings can flap. And I just used a green straw, had a whole bunch of them, and I clipped a little point on the top of it so it looks like a unicorn point. But if you have bendy straws, you could make horns like that, or you could use them as legs like I did with the toilet roll. So I hope you're able to get some good ideas and use your creativity to come up with some really neat animals for Hispanic Heritage Month. Well, that's it for today. I hope you had a fun time and learned a little bit about a Mexican folk craft. And I hope you come back and join us for all the really cool programs and events that we're hosting at Prince George's County Memorial Library System for Hispanic Heritage Month and beyond. So I hope you have a wonderful afternoon, and I wish you well. Take care.